Hey, what's going on? Is he inside?
He's inside. He's in the bathroom.
This is Alora. Just moments ago, her dad confessed something horrifying to her. He had just killed her mother and grandmother.
Does he have any weapons?
We don't know. He's locked in the bathroom.
Okay, can you stay over there? Stay over there.
Okay.
A voice on the other side of a locked bathroom door broke the silence before anyone had fully understood what had happened. I killed both of them. Moments later came another sentence that sounded just as impossible. I'm laying in my own pool of blood, and I can't die. I can't die. By the time deputies entered the home, they weren't responding to an ordinary domestic disturbance anymore. They were walking into one of the most disturbing homicide scenes investigators in Pinellas County would face in years. 2 women were dead. The suspect had severely injured himself, and the surviving members of the household were left trying to explain behavior that, in hindsight, suddenly looked far more alarming than anyone had realized.
Okay.
As police nervously approached the house, they had no idea that inside lay the most gruesome murder scene the department has seen in decades.
There's one in the fucking back bedroom over here hacked up, and then there's a second one wrapped up in a sheet in the garage.
And who's supposedly in the bathroom?
The suspect.
The case would ultimately become a painstaking reconstruction of one terrifying night, built not from a single confession, but from physical evidence, independent witness accounts, and the suspect's own recorded statements, each tested against the others. The man at the center of the investigation was 41-year-old Kirk Heel Jr. He lived with his longtime girlfriend, 34-year-old Christina Danzero, along with Christina's mother, Suzanne, his adult son Kirk III, his daughter Alora, and Frederick Danzero. To outsiders, it appeared to be a crowded household navigating everyday challenges. But according to family members, something had changed in the weeks leading up to the killings. They described increasing arguments, unusual conversations, and a growing rigidity in Kirk's behavior. None of it, on its own, pointed toward violence. It would take the events of one Saturday morning for investigators to understand why those details mattered at all. Everything unraveled early that morning, when Kirk's daughter contacted authorities after her father locked himself inside a bathroom and confessed that 2 people inside the home were dead.
Third, okay.
Yep. So I'm like, we're trying to calm him down. And he goes, Dad, I think, or Grandpa, I think, Dad done something. Dad done something bad. I go, what's going on? We're trying to talk to him on speakerphone. And he's just shaking and trembling. You could tell he couldn't speak. And I'm like, dude, calm down. Just calm down. Tell me what's going on, buddy. And he goes, I think Dad...
Deputies arrived with almost nothing to go on. A barricaded man, the possibility of weapons, no confirmation of what or who waited beyond the front door. As officers cleared the home, they found blood leading through the hallway. It led first to Christina's bedroom.
The officer enters the house and finds a blood trail. It leads directly to the bedroom, where he makes a horrifying discovery. Inside is the dismembered body of 34-year-old Christina Danzero. Her body parts are scattered across the room, with her blood painting the walls and floor. But this isn't the only blood trail he's about to find. In the garage, hidden beneath a blood-soaked sheet, lay the body of 75-year-old Betty Suzanne Danzero, Christina's mother. The trail finally ends at the bathroom entrance, where 41-year-old Kirk Heel Jr. is located.
Inside, investigators found her body. The injuries were catastrophic, and the scene showed clear evidence of post-mortem dismemberment. This told detectives something immediately. Whatever had happened here was not brief. Considerable time had passed after the fatal attack. Time the killer had spent alone with the body.
I opened the door, and there's a blood trail. I mean, and footprints. I'm glad, bad blood, dark blood. Comes from a different place in the body, usually, so. I mean, that blood trail went all the way down and turned into the bathroom. There was no more blood in the rest of the house. When I looked in his room, there was some in the room, but that was it. So I thought he had heard it.
A second trail led investigators toward the garage. There, beneath a covering of bedding, they found Suzanne Danzero. 2 generations of the same family, both dead, and the blood trail wasn't finished yet. It ended outside a locked bathroom door. Behind it was Kirk Heel Jr. He had inflicted multiple stab wounds on himself and had also attempted to ingest bleach. Officers forced their way in, secured him, and paramedics rushed him to a hospital, where doctors managed to save his life.
Officers methodically approached the bathroom and breached the door open to an alarming scene. The suspect is covered in stab wounds. He is slowly bleeding out and is barely responsive.
For investigators, the scene raised an immediate question. If this wasn't a struggle that ended in a moment of panic, what was it? Crime scene technicians began documenting the room, and each item they logged deepened that question rather than answering it. A large knife, believed to have been used in the attacks. Garden clippers later tied to the dismemberment. A 9mm handgun resting on the bed. Neither victim had been shot. And finally, a detail that seemed almost out of place beside the rest-a-half empty container of melatonin gummies. At first, the gummies looked insignificant, a stray household item collected out of procedure. Detectives would only understand their significance once the surviving family members started to talk. While forensic teams processed the house, investigators split up the remaining witnesses, Kirk Heel, Alora, and Frederick, and questioned them separately.
I killed both of them. He said that. I killed both of them, he said. And I said, and I was thinking he was just nuts or something at the time. So I said, where's Suzanne and Christy? Christy's in the room. I said, I just looked in the room. There's nobody in the room. And I said, where's Suzanne? He said, in the garage. Yeah. And he said, and I cut my, and but I won't die. I said, what did you think happened last night? And he said, God told me to do this stuff. And he said, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. The door was locked to the bathroom. He said, I'm just laying in here. He said, I'm laying in my own pool of blood, and I can't die. I can't die.
The goal wasn't just to learn what happened. It was to find out whether anyone else in that house had been meant to die that night. Kirk Heel was among the first to describe his father's state in the days leading up to the killings. Not violent, he said, but increasingly aggressive and strangely fixated on one specific thing: sleep. According to his account, Kirk had grown insistent that everyone in the house go to bed early. He grew frustrated when family members stayed up, and more than once, he pushed both of his adult children to take melatonin gummies.
Especially about going to bed. I don't know why, but he's been really pushy the last 2 days.
About you guys going to bed?
Yeah, about going to bed. Like, even giving us melatonin gummies, those little, like, gummies that knock your ass out. Sorry for my language.
No.
They didn't want them. They refused. It was the same brand of gummy investigators had already logged from the crime scene. On its own, that meant little. But then Kirk Heel described something else: his father's reaction when he and Alora began locking their bedroom door at night. Kirk had demanded repeatedly that they leave it unlocked.
Last night this is?
Yeah. And we were like, dude, why can't we lock our door? It's not your room, it's our door.
Did you unlock it, or is he yelling from the hallway? How'd he get mad?
Well, he was banging on the door. He's like, unlock the fucking door. And we're like, why? And he's like, just unlock the fucking door. God damn it. So we unlocked the door, and he's like, don't you lock this damn door.
The siblings refused. At one point, their mother stepped in, telling everyone to stop arguing and get some sleep. To detectives, the pattern was hard to ignore. If the household had gone to sleep earlier, and if bedroom doors had stayed unlocked, everyone inside would have been more vulnerable during the night. Whether that had been Kirk's intention, or something investigators were reading into after the fact, was a question they weren't ready to answer yet. Then Alora was brought in. She hadn't spoken to her brother beforehand. And yet, without prompting, she described the same demands, the same insistence on an early bedtime, the same pressure to take melatonin, the same anger over a locked door.
Was there an incident with like a door being locked too?
Yes, there was, yes.
Yeah, what was that about?
Recently our door suddenly somehow got fixed. It's locked, and me and my brother like privacy, and we don't like it when he just randomly just comes in the room without announcing or at least knocking.
Mm-hmm.
He does that every single day, anytime he feels like it. Mm-hmm.
Two accounts, gathered independently, telling the same story. For investigators, that kind of consistency carries weight. Frederick Danzero was questioned next, and his account introduced a detail that changed the shape of the investigation entirely. During the night, he said, he woke to find Kirk standing near his bed. Kirk told him he'd heard Frederick's breathing sound unusual and had come to check on him. Frederick, only half awake, accepted the explanation and went back to sleep.
I woke up in the middle of the night and I looked up, and Kirk, the one that did this, he's like a vulture leaning over my bed like this. He said, well, I heard your breathing was weird, so I was just checking on you. And I think if I hadn't woken up, I'd be the third one there. Because as soon as he saw me wake up, he left. Because he's always been afraid of me. Because I don't take a whole lot after my background and stuff. And so he left, and that was it. I stayed in bed.
It was only afterward that he began to wonder whether waking up had interrupted something else. That possibility gained weight once detectives finally sat down with Kirk himself.
And I think if I hadn't woken up, I'd be the third one there.
But before we get
Once doctors confirmed he was medically stable, investigators conducted a recorded interview. Kirk began describing what he called signs messages. He said that he had been receiving through song lyrics, conversations, and everyday events.
So, go ahead, start from the beginning for me then.
Well, I kept receiving signs saying that we should split up. And we had been together for, forever. Not actually married. But it was called ourselves that. It did, we did like a mentor kind of marriage thing where we did a pinky swear. It was like a Viking thing. But anyway, we always listened to the same songs all the time.
Okay.
And
He spoke about them as though they were instructions. Detectives documented every word, but they treated the signs as a claim, not an explanation. Evidence could establish what happened inside that house. Only Kirk's own account could speak to why, and that account would need to be weighed carefully against everything else investigators already knew. He also described conflict in his relationship with Christina in the days before the killings. According to his interview, he confronted her about infidelity, and she admitted to it.
And I'm like, this is a fucking sign. I'm not getting something. Should I just ask her?
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I said, have you ever cheated on me and not told me? She goes, I did once. And I was like, oh, okay. I go, was this the only time? She goes, yeah, but it was different each time. I'm like, confused by that answer, and I'm like, okay. Did you sleep with any of them? Yes, 2 of them.
Okay.
Okay.
For detectives, that gave them a timeline, a source of tension that had escalated in the immediate run up to the murders. Whether it explained the violence that followed was a separate question entirely. One piece of evidence still didn't fit. If both victims had been killed with edged weapons, why was there a loaded handgun on the bed? The answer came from 2 directions at once. Frederick told investigators he had been storing one of Kirk's own handguns. after Kirk asked him months earlier to sell it.
When you take me back to the garage, you can have the damn thing. He just
Do
wanted...
you remember what it is, or you said it was in the trunk of your car?
Yeah, it's an automatic. It's 9mm, but I never even opened up the case that he had it in.
How long ago did he ask you to sell it for him?
A couple months.
And in his interview, Kirk admitted to retrieving a firearm before entering Frederick's room that night. He said he knew Frederick owned guns and feared resistance if things went wrong.
Why do you think Suzanne?
Suzanne, she was on the brink of death anyways. She has a lot of medication, and with Fred going into chemotherapy, if he dies, she's going to end up dying because we can't afford all the medicine she has. So she was going to end up dying anyways at some point if he doesn't make it out of the cancer treatment. She was weak, she was fragile, it was an easy target. She couldn't do anything.
Why do you think Suzanne was also a victim?
I actually asked my buddy Jasper about that. At one point, my dad told him he believed Mom was like a witch from ancient times, from a long descendant of really powerful witches. Which I was like, okay, so he's...
Neither could be verified as Kirk's actual reasoning. What investigators could confirm was simpler, and it was enough Suzanne was present in the home. She was attacked, and she died from her injuries. Anything beyond that remained interpretation, not fact. The most consequential answer came when detectives asked Kirk directly why he'd been so determined that his children go to sleep early that night. His response was brief. He said he wanted them asleep.
Did they stay up late typically? What was going to be the...
Were you wanting them to go to bed early for a reason, Kirk?
It was a short admission, but it aligned with everything Kirk Athuri and Alora had already described independently. Weeks of small, seemingly unconnected details now confirmed by the one person who could confirm them. It also left investigators with a harder question than they'd started with how close the night had come to a very different outcome. No further attacks happened. Because they didn't, detectives could document what appeared to be preparation. They could not say with certainty what would have come next. By the end of the investigation, the physical evidence, the independent witness statements, and Kirk's own admissions had converged into a single, consistent chronology. Relationship conflict had escalated over several days. Family members noticed a marked change in his behavior. Repeated attempts were made to influence when others in the house slept. 2 women were killed during the night with edged weapons. One body was extensively dismembered afterward. The suspect then attempted to take his own life before barricading himself inside a bathroom and survived. In the interview that followed, he admitted responsibility for both killings. Kirk Heel Jr. was charged accordingly, and the legal process moved forward from there. What the case leaves behind isn't a single dramatic revelation. It's the way investigators built certainty out of fragments, matching a blood trail to a timeline to independent testimony, and testimony to a suspect's own words, until the pieces no longer left room for another explanation.
I went to work with her, and she worked in a smoke shop. I'm just sitting there in the lobby, waiting for people to come in. It's really, really slow. 2 different people came in. They were slightly different shirts. Both of them said liar and cheater, and both of them had decapitated teddy bear heads. Later on that day, as we were going home, sitting at a stoplight, same exact t-shirt pops up from a different person.
What people would consider a regular, coincidental event, Kurt saw as a sign that kicked off his brutal rampage and a plan.
One question, though, was never fully answered. How many of those early warning signs, ordinary on their own, would ever have been recognized as warnings at all? if the worst hadn't already happened first.